right, so it is Monday, August 21st. It is 1:02 p.m. We'll start the Tourism and Arts Commission meeting. The first thing we have on the agenda is to approve the minutes from March 13th, March 21st, 22nd, and June 26th. We'll start with March 13th. Does anybody have any edits?
You can actually do one motion for all of them if you'd like at the end.
Okay,
So if you want to go over on it.
okay. Thank you. We'll go through them and then we'll make a motion at the end, but let's start with the March 13th minutes to see if anybody has any edits to the March
Only
13th.
thing I had were two nitpicky, under Get Lit. Tracy is Tacey. And then back on Saber, it says gas replied, I think it should be, they were doing smaller things throughout the month, not me as I'm doing it. Does that make sense?
That's on the 21st.
Oh,
I'm looking at March.
sorry, 13th. Sorry. That was a short one. Nothing on the 13th. For me.
Okay, Rhea, anything for the 13th?
It's so tiny.
Okay, let's go to March 21st. That's the one.
That's one.
In the first sentence, it says Tacey instead of Tracy.
And then
What was the other?
basically on the backside under Saber. Gast replied, I think I just didn't want it to look like I was involved with Saber.
Okay. So I think they were doing smaller
Yeah.
things, okay?
That's all I had.
Ray, did you have anything for March 21st minutes?
Nope.
Neither did I. Next up is the June 20th minutes.
I have nothing there.
I don't have anything. Jennifer, good job with these minutes.
I know. Thank you.
Rhea, do you have anything for the June 20th minutes?
I do not.
One thing on the blue page with the agenda, it says June 22nd instead of June 20th.
Oh, okay.
Just spotted that. June 26th minutes.
Nothing for me. Nothing for me.
All right.
When we make the motion, we'll just want to say, I move to approve the minutes of March 13th, March 21st as amended, and then list the June dates.
Okay.
We just want to say as amended.
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve these minutes that we just went through?
I am motion to approve the minutes from March 13th, 21st, June 20th, and June 26th.
And the March 21st as amended?
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second.
All right. All to approve the minutes as amended for March 20th and as written for the other dates, say aye.
I
Aye. So approved. And the next item that we have on the agenda is to review the final evaluations that have been submitted. The first one is Gallery Group with their art exhibits.
I think this one's Canada Beach Arts Association.
I'm sorry, Arts Association, that is correct. It looked like they had in response to their events. Unfortunately, the Bald Eagle Coffee was closed when they were doing most of their December events at the miniature show, but that's understandable. They've always struggled with the heads and beds. And they speak to that on section 2, answering 2B. I know for a while they would ask during events but it's tough for them to do that. I see that they've proposed some solutions.
Weren't they talking about doing? We're doing kind of like a social media screen or something like that for art installation. I can't remember if there was a CAD involved in that or if it was just like a backdrop, but
I know they've tried a couple of things,
yeah,
and their point of service, they were working, trying to get their point of service, I think,
Yeah.
collect
collect the data.
code data.
Yeah.
But I don't think anything's ever really
Just
worked for them, and they go through staffing changes,
a lot, yeah.
which doesn't help.
Just thinking if they had some kind of. I mean, is there a way to tie in something if they have a media thing to be able to incorporate that in there?
Yeah, I don't know.
Question.
I like that their place for dog sales had proceeds going to the disaster animal response team. That was nice to support them.
Yeah.
I don't have any other comments on this. They do a nice job. And they're important to the community.
I think my only comment that would apply to all was. Would just be reworking of the forms and the data accessibility as far as,
Right, and we can talk about that when we get to the next section, but. Ray, did you have any comments on Cannon Beach Arts Association?
I don't. I agree with what you said. I think that they do a great job and they are really important to the community.
Okay. If there isn't anything else, let's go to the cottage tour from the Cannon Beach History Center. They had a typo in their the first paragraph they wrote when they said the weekend of events is scheduled for Friday, September 8th through Sunday, September 10th, 2022. I think they meant 2023 there. But they're filing this in advance of the event because the event's coming up in a couple of weeks. They've done a very nice job expanding the event and getting people to stay here for additional evenings, which is appreciated.
Mhm. Yeah, I think they've really tried to. Add in fillers and different layers of,
Right. Well, Saturday's their event. They're the main portion of their event, right? But then they have their opening night bash on Friday. Then they have the main event on Saturday and then the high tea that they've expanded with the artist and the watercolors and the lecture and the art supplies and so on Sunday. That is to try and make sure people don't leave Saturday.
Mhm.
They've done a nice job.
Agreed.
Do we know if, and Jennifer, this is a question me asking you, both the gallery group and Cannon Beach History Center had asked for the same date for 2024. Do we know if any of that's been changed?
I have not heard of anything.
Okay.
yet.
Okay. Were there any questions on the budget for this event? Because they are
Yeah,
they're print marketing heavy, right? Or print advertising heavy.
yeah,
That always kind of raises some eyebrows because advertising has gone in different directions, more social, less print. But I think that this demographic is still more print-based, and that's
yeah.
why they continue to do this.
Well, I also like they're so active on social media in their own right
right?
and supplementing that. But yes, I agree with the demographic.
Ray, did you have any comments or questions about Cannon Beach History Center's cottage tour?
I don't. Did you hear me?
Yes, thank you. They provide a nice detailed budget too.
Mhm. Where I'm going back to
What's that?
the part of me wants to put on this one, on the finals. Again, because I know we have it on some of them, but amount requested, amount received for
Right.
that year at the top,
Mhm.
just for easy access, but it was back to, was it the 37? Is that what we were?
So Jennifer, that's a comment I think directed to the paperwork,
Yeah,
is that if we could put like project title, amount requested, amount funded.
yeah, I would
Right there.
love that, just. I think that. Because as I'm reading through the summary and all that, I
Right.
think if I have that in context prior to,
It looks like the funding was 37
Yeah.
83,
that. Okay,
but I agree, it'd be a lot easier. We wouldn't have to dig it out.
Yeah.
Because some organizations put it by when they receive
yeah,
the funds.
yeah,
And then we have to do math.
Yeah.
Okay,
no,
if there isn't anything else on that, we can go to the chamber's event and tourism video.
I guess my only comment on this is. The outline videos that weren't. Completed. And how we go about. Making sure that money's earmarked, or if they're,
Right,
are they having to return it back? I mean, I know for events that weren't done, they had to do that, but what if? They don't use it entirely. Or does that just stay earmarked with a follow-up of? Did you actually complete what you?
yeah, that's a good question. My thought is if they don't do everything that they say they're gonna do, then money should be coming back. Right? I know we made exceptions during 2020 when they had to cancel events,
Yeah,
but they were trying to redo events, or reimagine events. We gave them some leeway with that. But my thought is if you say you're gonna do 6 videos and you do 4.
Yeah.
As an example, you should look at providing money back.
back. Yeah, because I'm like, where does that, who follows that trail past?
What I would like to see in this is, okay, we did the videos and then we sent them to the organization for them to use. I think that's part B. That's the
Great.
next step, right?
Yeah.
They're not just been filmed and
Yeah.
edited, but they're actually, the organization has them and they're using them, or the organization has been given them.
Yes.
And how they use them is up to that organization, but instead of just sitting on the chamber platform, YouTube page, right?
Yeah, it seems like there's a disconnect there between. Creation and utilization.
Exactly. Right. Well, and we want to get our money's worth.
Yeah.
Out of the use of those, not just the creation of those.
Yeah. Exactly.
And here they talk about, the History Center is excited to use this video for promotional purposes. I can see that they would be excited because they're really
Oh, yeah,
on top of those types
Yeah.
of things, but not every organization is.
true.
Ray, did you have any comments on the Chamber's event and tourism video production evaluation?
Yeah, well, I was just thinking that, I mean, I guess agreeing with you that we should follow up and see. It would be nice to know just how many times these are being viewed on YouTube, like doing a tally. Because I know there's view counts on YouTube that you can look up
Right.
for each video and trying to see if that is actually worth the cost that's being put forth to make these videos, if they're being viewed by people or utilized by other businesses.
I mean, I think it's a valid spend to make videos of these events, but I want to see them not just on the experience page. I want to see them on the events page too. I want to see the event use them because they can be edited
Yeah.
for different durations, right? So if Get Lit wants a video for 30 seconds or
Yeah.
for 20 seconds because of a promotional spot, that possibility exists.
Yep.
And then the event is using them versus just, there's a 2-minute video on
YouTube.
experiences page.
Yeah. Yeah, because they talked about doing those Instagram snippets.
Right.
But yeah, we're talking,
And his estimate doesn't really include editing. There's the events, the marketing, the event that's still in progress, and then more marketing, but really I don't see a line item for editing.
that's where I'm like, I don't know what the optimization, is that like I know you guys said you could boost things to certain levels.
Right.
I think with the media marketing, but
The other thing is that's interesting is they under section B. They have a sentence in there. What would you like to do, or what would you like to be done differently?
Mhm.
They put, it would work better to have an event request TAC funding to include the video project in their budget for the year.
Meaning they don't want to do it.
We could then better coordinate with the events who want a video shot during their event. I mean, that makes sense
Yeah.
because these guys have been doing this now for several years.
Yeah.
And I think all of the other events know about the videos, or maybe that's an assumption that I shouldn't make.
Well, I think we talked about the videos
Right.
and while we're here, but
With the different events. I mean, we definitely talked about it with Chamber about what events are they going to video.
well, I think when we've done the interviews, not 100% of the time, but I think we've incorporated that. Not like we did asking about the school, but
Right.
I think some of them, not all of them. So, yeah, I think. So my interpretation of that then is they would prefer for each individual event to build that into their budget for video, but then outsource it. Coordinate with the
To-
chamber with
right.
literacy.
Right.
So then the chamber would only be responsible for filming their own or applying for monies for their own specific events. Fat Tire or,
Right.
okay,
But, no, that's right, because then any editing expense would go back to the event themselves.
yeah. Well, I guess that's one way to get the event more involved with
Sure.
making sure that they're getting utilized.
And that's maybe a question next year like we did last year with the school,
Yeah.
how to get, how to incorporate the schools. How, have you talked to, do you have a video
Yeah.
of your event? And are you using the video? Does it work for you? If not, have you talked to the chamber about
Yeah.
the possibility of having it edited?
Edited. Okay. That makes sense.
Bring it back to you. Did you have anything to add?
I mean, it does make sense for each event to have more of a hands-on in respect to the videos, so they don't just end up going to YouTube and then not being viewed, right?
Right.
If they're for the events, then they should probably play a role in dictating how they would like their videos to be used. Maybe they don't want them on YouTube. Maybe they'd like to just have access to them so that they could use them for different social media outlets.
Or maybe the video doesn't represent what they're doing anymore.
Well, that's true too.
Right? If you look at Savor has really changed their program from 2020 to what they did in 2022, very different
Yeah.
programs, right? And so if the video is still showing a wine walk of 50 wineries, well, they don't do that anymore,
Mhm.
right? And, or a Thursday night event, the Battle of the Bites or something like that, that doesn't exist anymore. And so maybe they're not using it because it's not a good representation of what the experience is.
I have a question.
Yes,
Personally, I'm not going to put in my budget money for a video to pay Morrissey to do a video.
because you're already so tight on dollars, or why?
We're tight on dollars and we are not, I don't think that we're, he filmed us, I don't know, it was 2018, I think.
Okay,
And it was a great video. He did a great job. But again, it's kind of goes back to what you were just saying about timing.
Mhm.
So it not going to be the same authors. He it doesn't really just capture the event overall. It really was indicative up to that year. And so
so you can't use it. It's not a fair representation of,
and that's the only video we've ever had. So I think that if the chamber wants that to happen, then their ask needs to be not that they're going to promote other events and do these videos for events. They're going to have to work out their budget for their promotion and not have it come back on us, because I personally don't know what videos they've done for events or whatever. And if that's what they're asking money to do, then they're really not doing that. They're not fulfilling that. So they really need to have their ask, I think, tighter. And this, these 4 videos, and they'll be, I don't know, the farmer's market, the coffee shops, and, just an overall,
Mhm.
whatever, not event specific.
Right.
That's just my
well,
opinion.
I think that that's what they've done with their last one, is every day is an art walk. It's not really, public art in Cannon Beach, 10 things to do in Cannon Beach, public parks of Cannon Beach, and every day is an art walk. I think they're trying to get away from specific
Yeah,
events
and that makes sense.
to more of general
General,
videos.
which could be supplementary, if you wanted to say and beyond, then you could, link into those.
Right.
Or
On-
be a nice promotion, because then I could use the video,
Yeah.
10 things to do in Cannon Beach. So it's like, hey, come to our event. And then also here's a promotional of Cannon Beach and get people here.
Right.
I think that would be that would be what I'd want to do more so than just put in my budget a video.
Yeah, because I didn't think about that, like changing from year to year and how that would be applicable or, then you have, whether it's a great video or not a great video, they might be capturing things that wouldn't be on your top 5 important things of,
Yeah, I would rather just for our event, if there's that money to spend into something, we hire photography, we have things like that, but I don't know that I would want to use, I don't know how much it costs, but that I'd want to put it in my budget.
It's like $2,000, $1,500, $2,000. Well, the other thing is, I guess what we should be talking to them about is when they give us a list of events, have you talked to this event?
Mhm.
Because if the event doesn't want a video, why are we
Yeah,
having a video? Why are we paying for a video?
yeah,
If Gitlit says they're not going to use a video, pull Gitlit off
Yeah.
of your list. Let's scratch it and take that money back and let's use it on something else,
Yeah.
right?
yeah. That makes sense.
Thank you for your input.
Yeah.
All right, if there aren't any other questions, let's move to the Chamber's Fat Bike Festival.
I liked the fact that the attendance keeps increasing.
Mhm.
I liked that, well, they claimed 100% were from out of town.
I don't know if 53 is the largest number ever. It may have been larger in 2019, but I think
That's what I was
that is,
Yeah.
that's pretty good size considering it was down for a year or two and making a comeback. I like also that they received a permit to put the e-bikes out on the beach.
Mhm.
I think that's going to help. I think the digital passport was a bust.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna,
I don't know if, when they gave their presentation, I talked to them, I think we only had a couple of
that you came.
passport people that came in versus the year before. We had just about everybody because we had to stamp them. With the digital passport, I think they may have been able to check in from our patio and then take a picture of our sign and be considered.
Done. Well, then I also worry about, yeah, you go to digital passport, but as we know, this area is terrible. So what happens if you're
Right.
down here?
When you're trying to get into Sleepy
Yeah.
Monk or Bald Eagle
Yeah.
or the gallery, there's
Yeah.
no access.
There's no way to, yeah,
Internet or Wi-Fi. Right. Well, and these sites pay to sponsor, right?
Yeah.
So like the Wine Shack paid to be a location and then we only saw a couple people, but they had, I don't know, 19 that said that they finished their book,
And
but
you
we didn't see 19.
yeah, you didn't see none.
Right.
Okay,
So I'm glad that they're kind of relooking that.
at that. I was curious that said they had $1,200 worth of teacher merchandise. But then I didn't see any income from teacher merchandise. I was like, was that part of,
It was, okay, yeah, it was in
is that
And-
thrown in
the
with
bag
your
registration.
registration?
T-shirt, I don't know.
But then it said something in here about different merchandise. Sorry, it's all going. Up for a bunch of different. Oh. Bike, okay, so they had to have the bike flags. I remember that.
For the
That was part of the
e-bikes.
permit.
Yep.
Put on flags, okay. And then back to like event logistics and management, this is where I'm gonna open the can of worms, but
Mhm.
there's a line item in there. So again, back to our bigger discussion with city council and paperwork and apples to apples.
Yeah, they hired an outside event
Okay.
coordinator to run this, right? And that's why it's a big number.
Yeah,
They hired an organization to, and I'm not saying that's the right number. But that's why. I mean, that's what's driving that expense.
big,
It is.
Yeah.
Because their funding was $14,000, right?
mhm. Yeah, and I mean, if you're growing it and you have more people coming and coming, then that becomes less of a deal, but
Mhm.
at the same time. I'd like to. Again, when we have everything in front of us, have full transparency of this is,
That's a big dollar amount for
Yeah.
a director.
Yeah.
Yeah, considering revenue was only 14,600.
Mhm.
I agree.
Those were really my only comments on that.
Ray, do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I guess I was just also thinking that it seemed like kind of a lot for having 53 attendees,
Attendees, yeah.
but I'm not,
Do the Math.
Mhm.
yeah.
So $179 per attendee for event director.
Well, I'm like. And you would think some of that red tape of the permit process and the e-bike hurdle is gone. Does that mean
Right.
that
They can
less
manage
time
it.
is spent and,
Right, and they can manage it locally.
yeah,
Yeah, it would be nice if it was managed locally, in my opinion, to have the money come back into at least Clatsop County and not, I don't know where they're getting the event director, but I'm sure we have event directors around here. That's just my opinion.
We do have event directors around here. I'm not sure why the chamber just can't manage this themselves with staff,
that's kind of what I always assumed.
53 people. Yep. Maybe the real need was the permit,
That's what I'm wondering. Was it a more
a relationship.
bureaucratic ask?
I could probably speak to that if you want me to,
Sure.
as an event coordinator. The group that they hire this is what they do, are these bike
Like events.
Okay,
bike festival things. I mean, I can't tell you
yeah,
how they're paid, and the amount they charge. That's not my business. But, I mean, I think maybe, I mean, I don't want to speak on behalf of Jim, but, the reason that they use that particular coordinator, that company, was because that's, I think that the thought behind that was, they have the reach to people who would be in the bicycle industry or would, sign up for that.
Oh, and they could promote their event at other events.
Exactly, outward, out in the Portland area. So, but I think they need to review, Jim and, whoever hired, if that's being done, if the if
it's through there.
that's bringing in people, because they are hiring an outside person.
Yeah.
Then
Then that's almost like a director plus marketing
Plus market,
push,
Right.
mhm.
then I'm more comfortable
right?
with that. Yeah, the umbrella reaches. Not to say I still wouldn't like it local, but.
I agree. I just.
I mean, yeah, no, that's,
I think that, I guess my point is, I do believe that if you're a coordinator, whether where you are, you need to be paid.
yeah,
to Coordinate.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be on a whole completely volunteer situation.
Any other discussion on the Fat Bike Festival? All right, let's move on to Coaster Theater.
I had. One takeaway was that Martini was. Pretty much more of a. 25% were from 50 miles away, and I think we knew it was more of a celebratory
Right,
anniversary event, but I think those statistics kind of held true. I wasn't sure about the Every Brilliant thing saying no tickets were sold. So it was just a 1-day thing, but I was kind of confused by that.
because I see 50 attendees.
Yeah. But then the asterisk, no zip code data is available as no tickets were sold.
I don't know.
Yeah. And I don't. But I think when they came to us. That one, I don't think was under the umbrella of their special events. I think the portion of it is over the big umbrella, but then there
Right.
were more specifics. I don't think that was one of them, but I.
So what they did was they took a poll. They don't have so because they don't have specific data, they took a poll.
Okay.
Like if you go there, Patrick says, okay, how many of you raise your hands
Gotcha.
if you came from more than 50 miles?
Okay,
So that's how they got the data. But I don't know what the event was.
Yeah.
Everything. I was not in town on January 15th. They always seem to struggle with their event marketing.
Mhm.
Is one of my takeaways between Patrick Lamb and Adams and Costello and Laura Kinnan. They struggle with those.
yeah, it's like the live music thing is I think they're cross marketing on the. Stage performances, I mean, as far as the acting shows,
Right.
I think having those. Where they have their marketing is placed is fine, but yeah, it seems to be. That. The others struggle,
They do.
yeah, so I guess that's a question of. How are you promoting that differently? Or are you just not finding that? Extra niche like you have for this.
Well, this just,
Yeah,
when they gave the presentation a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
I asked them about Patrick Lamb, right?
Yeah.
Because 56, that's a generous number.
yeah,
And Patrick, I mean, I was just on his Facebook page 2 days ago,
Mhm.
yesterday, and he just sold out a big venue. And I'm like, how does he sell
Yeah.
out these places and we can't put 50 people?
Yeah.
In the Coaster Theater. I mean, the guy's a world-renowned jazz saxophonist. I just don't understand it. And maybe it's because he's here every year or every other year.
and then
And it's, if you've seen him once or twice, you don't want to see him
again,
a third or a fourth time. Personally, I don't mind because I like
Yeah.
him and he plays different stuff and sometimes he has a band. Last time he was solo. But maybe put him to rest for a little bit.
Yeah.
right? But then on the other hand, when Curtis Salgado comes here every year, he packs the place.
Mhm.
But I think if you only sell 56 tickets of Patrick Lamb, maybe you put Patrick on the shelf for a
Yeah.
while. I don't know.
No, I think,
Who's the show that sold out?
I think Martini's show.
No, the Patrick Lamb. I was just wondering, is Patrick selling out his shows in Portland? I mean, and could it be where Coaster's like, hey, Patrick, we need your help to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. It was not a East Coast or a West Coast show that he sold out, but he does sell them out because he'll play different events in the Valley and, he'll put sold out show. And
Right.
I don't know what it is.
well, kind of back to that. Discussion with Andrew about like the comedy thing, like if they're playing in Portland and then they're coming here, are we? Missing,
Well, we may not, I think what Andrew's comment was, if they have a radius.
yeah, that he won't
Right.
do that, which I think has proven to be successful, so far, but. If Patrick Lamb is playing in Portland Friday night and then is here Saturday night. Is that part of the issue or not?
Because people can see him
Yeah.
in Portland
Yeah,
Friday night.
so then they're not making the trip.
Yeah. It's possible. I'm just thinking if a guy doesn't sell out and he's been
Yeah.
here a couple times, maybe,
Moves on.
yeah. Or not every year,
Yeah,
give him a couple years
Yeah.
between shows, and there's enough musicians out there
well, that's what I was,
to find somebody else that's gonna play for whatever Patrick played for. In the budget, because the budget just starts January.
okay. Because that was on the list for this, wasn't Patrick on the list this year?
Yeah,
Yeah. Thought it was.
Right, no, I'm saying in this submission,
Oh,
because this isn't showing, he played. in
Yeah.
fall.
oh,
So
gotcha.
this is not showing fall
Okay,
expenses.
but they did, you're right, that they.
it's on for this next year.
But I think what Patrick said was that he was going to do, was it Charlie
Kind
Brown?
of a kid show.
The kids show.
Oh, gotcha.
Would be different.
Right.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Ray, do you have any comments or questions about the Coaster Theater's final evaluation?
I don't.
And Tracy, I'm sorry, we could have skipped yours.
Oh, yeah.
Let's skip to Tracy's. Well, she doesn't have to sit through all of this. We're at the end anyway.
No, I'm
I'm a dope, okay? I'm sorry about that.
behind you because I didn't think of it either.
Neither did I.
Let's go to Get Lit. Boy, do we have things to talk about here. Okay,
Here we are.
so it looks like 69 or so attendees or tickets sold, 57 attendees. So they're coming back after being canceled for a couple of years.
That was the full passes. I think we had more at the.
57 full passes, 7 Saturday, 5 credits. So 64, 5, 69.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
well, there were things going on, right? The date was a challenge, right? There was another event and it was right after Easter. The date was a challenge. But, there are little glimmers of hope in here when you see like Cannon Beach Book Company said it was their best year of sales
Huh.
through Get Lit, right? So that tells me that the attendees like the authors that showed up and like the books that they were talking about. So it tells me attendees had a good time. The scores, the feedback said most had a good time.
I had never attended, and I was late to get a ticket, but we ended up closed off for the dinner numbers, but great time at Sunday's event. It was very fun. I mean, I was like, okay, I'm on board. I knew nothing about the authors, not my husband. But I really enjoyed it.
I would say, and we actually just had a meeting to address part of our issue, I think is where just what you were talking about with, Coaster and things. We have a specific audience, and it is hard to reach who our people are. We don't have a connection with Powell anymore. We're actually talking to someone that's maybe going to help us market it. If the authors don't push it for
Right.
us,
Yeah.
then we're,
Authors have to be your
yeah,
communication
Yeah.
channel.
100%. And so, so that's been, it's just been a challenge. And we're just, every year trying to come up. I thought that self-awareness was gonna be our saving grace, as you can see how much I spent, and
Yeah.
it was not, and it was unfortunate. But I learned
Yeah,
from that. So,
well, and I'm sure the authors themselves, they probably fall on either being great promoters or shying away from that
mhm.
too. So some years you're like, oh, we hit the jackpot. We've got them, push, push, push. And other years they're, they're artists. So
Mhm.
I also liked having Mindy Hardwick there and having a local author come in who's up and coming and, it just is, it can kind of boost her
Mhm.
as well. I just think that was great. Grant, do you have any comments or questions?
As I recall, there was a lot of like late in the season inclement weather around that time. It was nice though, because people that were attending Get Lit did come into, at least they came into my shop and had mentioned it. So it was noticeable to me that it's people around in town. So, which was, pretty refreshing after the past gets snowed over like however many times
Right.
last year or I guess last spring.
Well, and that's one of the goals of these events, right? Is not just heads and beds, but having these people who are coming into our town for a couple of days for an event, going to our various establishments while they're in town.
Yeah,
And I
and not
saw that,
they were like bragging about their event. They were having a good time and talking about it. So it's
Mhm.
like it was successful, at least from people who were attending it and visiting
right?
point of view.
Yeah, and if you see on the third page where it says we try to design the schedule for attendees to go out dinner on Friday, eat at a local restaurant on Saturday, and shop during the free time on Saturday and Sunday. I mean, that impacts all of us, right? That impacts all of the businesses in the community, not just the hotels. So that's great. And then when I looked at the potential economic impact, you had 31,000 plus pre-event and event production impact of $47,000 impact locally. I think that's a fair return.
agree.
So even though it wasn't as well attended as they were hoping, it still brought money into the community and guests into the community. And we hosted an event that Saturday night, I believe.
Today, Friday.
Friday night. Yeah, and we were, I think we were kind of a last minute location when we had music
Mhm.
and we had Bob came in and played and he told a little story about how he selected songs, that song. And he also talked about when he played an original, how, why the words are what they are and what he was thinking about and when he wrote the song. And I mean, people love that. These are
Yeah.
people that love stories, right? And he was giving them a story about each one of the songs that he was playing and they just really enjoyed it. So
That's great.
I don't have anything else on Get Lit.
I appreciate the data.
I mean, I won't sit and comment on anything else.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Libby, you have anything else?
No, I'm good
Maria?
there.
I did see in the comments, it looks like you need some help, Tracy. It's like you're a one-woman show in the committee.
And it definitely, it will, like I said, we just met.
Right.
We talked about getting more people involved. Jeff was quite ill during that
Right.
time and he usually does a lot for us and, he wasn't able to. But we had that conversation at our last meeting.
Okay.
So, yeah, we addressed that. We also addressed the, maybe not doing an author after lunch. So that would actually get people more time.
Downtown.
We'll start earlier. We're gonna have more in the morning, and then people will go break for lunch and shopping and do whatever until the dinner. So we're gonna, I think, gonna try to see if that helps.
And what day would that would be? Saturday after lunch?
Yeah.
So there's a wine shop downtown that does tastings on Saturday.
Right.
I mean, they could do a free wine tasting or ticket for two for the price of one, something like that. So there's a possibility there.
I think you can find your best employee working that, but because she'll be at the event.
Okay. Possibilities. See you later.
Thanks.
Sassy. All right. Can't believe I didn't think of having her go earlier. I feel bad. All right, let's go to North Coast Land Conservancy, Coast Walk. So are you familiar with this event?
Yeah. I have not done it.
I haven't done it either.
I hope to.
It's a fascinating event. There's 3 legs to this and they walk a different leg
Leg
each
every-
year and it rotates.
So we're funded, we generally fund 2 of the 3.
Right,
Is that
because
right?
one of them ends up in Cannon Beach
Okay.
and then the next year it
Starts
departs from Cannon
Cannon
Beach.
Beach. Okay.
Yeah, we have nothing to do with leg 3. But it seems like it's amazing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you just look, people coming from Florida. And now my guess is the demographics are a little older on this,
That's what I would,
right?
yeah.
But they're walking 30 miles. So they have to be pretty fit. Right.
Mhm.
3 days walking 30 miles, 10 miles a day. Room nights, approximately 200 room nights. That's
That's a big one.
That is big.
And yeah, I guess I didn't look at what the growth,
I think it's tough for growth.
yeah. Well, because are they limited?
Well, no, I think that because of 2020
Oh, yeah.
and some events didn't happen in 2021
Yeah.
either, that they are as Get Lit wrote, they're kind of starting over.
Over again.
Right? So I think 22 is kind of a free year
Okay,
of getting their feet back underneath them because they were growing.
okay.
And I think they said they wanted to go from 79 to 150. Was that what they were saying? They had a number someplace and
135 was participants and volunteers.
I thought I saw that they wanted to grow this up to a certain.
Oh, they had 94 registered participants, but 79 participated. I'd be curious to know 54%, I mean, said it met their expectation, 45%. It's exceeded. I'd be curious what the 54% would have liked to have seen. But I like the percentage that are from 50 miles plus.
Right.
The day total of 3, and they're not coming for 2 nights and hiking for 3.
Well, they provided 199 nights,
Yeah,
total rented room nights.
yeah. It's great. was trying to figure out their estimated cost versus actual.
Yeah, it's half.
Yeah,
So where were they off? Where was their delta?
the,
Training fee, they're off by
they
over
were
$1,000.
1,200 because it looked like Gerhart fired.
Day 3 lunch.
Behind
Mhm.
Astoria Co-op. So a lot of in-kind coordinators. That was not even a fifth of what it should have been. Communications, development was up double. Director was a lot less. So kind of interesting, and 8,000 in volunteer in kind.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. Maybe they just throw that in there because they don't know what to expect at that point, but
Mhm. If they're gonna need to hire somebody versus having volunteers, is that what you're
Yeah.
thinking?
yeah. I mean, they pad it because they don't know what volunteer strength they'll have. But
Well, I prefer to see it with the estimate higher than the actual versus the actual higher than the estimate.
yes. Agreed. But again, I was trying to find. Did we have on here what our contribution was?
Our $10,000.
That's what I thought.
It's on the back page
Back.
of the income.
Thank you. That's what I had in my brain, but. I guess my only comment is kind of. What are the trends of the budgeting, and is there a way to fine tune that a little bit? More or not, but that, you know,
Well, I think the past, if I remember previous presentations from them, we challenged them to grow this.
Yeah.
Right? From, I think the first year was 50 and they sold out in 3 days.
oh, wow.
To try and grow it to 75 to 100 to 100. How do they do that? How do they scale this up?
Yeah,
But I think also their experience, probably the attendee experience changes if it goes from 50 to 150, right? It's not as intimate,
yeah,
but at first they didn't have any problems selling every ticket. I think they're just that COVID is still
yeah.
impacting events, especially the this event.
Mhm.
What was the date on this? Well, this was last year, right?
Oh, yeah,
Coast Walk 2022, October. So it was still impacting that.
yeah, big time.
Ray, do you have any comments or questions about the North Coast Land Conservancy's Coast Walk?
No questions. It seems like a really great event, brings a lot of people and yeah, it seems like a good thing to support the CLC. They do really good things.
I would like to see them downtown rather than walking by us. Is there a way to,
That's where I was gonna say,
they
like,
spending the night in our hotel, having dinner in our hotels, having dinner in our restaurants and coming to our shops?
yeah,
What time do they get to Cannon Beach? Are they getting here at 5:30 or are they getting
Yeah.
here at 2:30?
yeah. Yeah,
That would be something interesting to know is what is that timeline for the day look like? And what time are they leaving? Are they leaving at 8 o'clock before the restaurants and the coffee shops are open? Or are they leaving at 10 o'clock and they can have breakfast at Lazy Susan Pig and
Yeah.
Pancake, wherever, right?
yeah. Either push it up
Or
or,
having a cup of coffee at Sleepy Monk
Yeah.
and then leaving.
and then leaving.
Yep.
Okay.
We move on to the comedy festival.
Good for me.
All right. Cannon Beach Comedy Festival, and this is the Tolovana Arts Colony. I did not go to this, but my wife did, and she said it was hysterical.
I went Friday night and then my husband said, didn't you get the double ticket? And I said, no. He wanted to go both nights. We really enjoyed it.
Weekend pass,
The weekend pass. I only opted for the one night. And when I was there Friday, they may have had 5 or 10 open seats. Saturday was a sellout, I think,
right?
because I couldn't get them.
Well, and that,
I thought it was great. Different demographic. I mean,
sure,
spanned the whole thing, but in general, I would say a younger,
he was younger.
yeah. Which I thought was great
It
and
is.
to have, I thought for the most part, I think the headliner Saturday night was better than what was Friday night, but I wasn't complaining with Friday night
Right, right.
by any means. I think it brings a totally different dynamic as far as, a different type of art and yes, skews
Right.
younger. So I
Right.
think it was great. So I agree with, trying to get it to grow and how do you do
Was
that?
that Coaster Theater both nights?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, and the only thing I think I had said to Andrew was, I know he had put on the website about visiting restaurants, go, to different restaurants after the show or pre-show, but it was like, by the time we got out, then we went over to Bill's and it was like, can we get a food order in, so I think communicating maybe that
Mhm.
we have an event that runs a little bit on the
Right.
later side
right.
would be beneficial. Or just a
Sure,
heads up
sure.
at the restaurants, you might want to staff or have the kitchen be prepared. Because I did see many people following and going into the
What was
restaurants.
the time of the event? Was it 7 to 9? Was it?
I think it was 7, I think it started at 7. But there were,
5 each night?
4 or 5, I think there were 5 different. Yeah,
So it's probably pushing 10.
I think it was closer to 10, 9:30, 9:45-ish. And that's where it was like, oh gosh, we're getting hit, so that's. And, because it was 7, we didn't go out ahead of time, and we went on a Friday night, so.
Right, right.
But yeah, I think there's a way to communicate that a little bit more to the different places that are open later.
I was wondering, I think we may have asked him about this as a Friday or a Saturday night early show and late show.
And the only thing he said was. Part of the appeal was that they only had to perform, it was a one time. That was part of the benefit of a weekend experience. So, but I'm like, but if I'm. The host or the opener, because they progressionally, I'm like, those guys. May want to do a repeat to get
Right.
their name and their face out there. I'm not saying
Right.
headliner,
Right,
because that was my question, because the budget jumped so high or doubled from the ask this year for
mhm,
the year before. And he was like, yeah, if we do grow it, that would be a component where I might not want to repeat a headliner. It might be bringing someone, so then you have,
the 7 o'clock is different than the 9 o'clock.
yeah. Because they have to do that everywhere else.
Right,
So if they're not getting as many. If Helium Comedy Club in Portland is bigger than the one here, and
Right.
they make more money.
sure,
They're getting a cut of alcohol sales or whatever, who knows, but. I think that's where this is a little bit of a different growth scenario. I think there's a way to do 2 shows.
I like to see that this is growing. This is an event that's growing, right? And they generated 200, they said 236 heads and beds, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I didn't recognize, it was darker when I got in there, but I recognized a few faces, but it wasn't. It was a real strong pull.
Good.
And I think that can be grown, you know, and I think we talked about, well, yeah, how do you have a small event, not at the coaster, you know, these supplemental things?
Mhm.
Do you, if you can't do a big show on a double show on Saturday, is there a way to incorporate something at another little spot, you know? That's still comedic. You do a kids thing. Or more family friendly,
Right. The 7 o'clock show, more family friendly and
maybe it's 4
More
o'clock
about-
and still keep the
Or right.
7.
yeah,
I don't know. But I think there's a lot of potential there.
sure. Well, and this shows that there's a appetite for comedy,
Totally.
right?
I think, yeah, and that was what, April? Timeframe? March, yeah. I was ready for some of that based on
The weather.
the weather this year. It was like. I mean, yeah.
Drea, did you have any comments or questions regarding the comedy festival?
No questions. I heard great things about it. It seems like a really awesome event and I'm excited to see it grow and see where it goes. I'm planning on attending the next one.
Thank you. Anything else that you want to talk about? Any of these final evaluations? If not, we can move on. Okay, let's go on to item 3 of the agenda. Discussion of TAF guidelines, goals, suggestions, or concerns.
I think I'd just reiterate kind of my ongoing thing of trying to incorporate some kind of standardized application form or a little more transparency of
The finances?
the finances, kind of, so that I know that each event is you know, do we do it so there's some more descriptive place or slots if they need it, but we know that this is the administration fee and this is, you know, kind of give them a guideline template. I kind of go back to that because I think that solves some of the issues, maybe. And I think if we have newer people coming on too, it's a quicker,
It will help them.
it helps them.
Yeah, it'll be a tool that'll help them
Yeah.
compare across events for similar buckets of
Yes.
money.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
And then we didn't have the joint council meeting on the books yet, right? We've been backburnered.
Yeah, we're kind of on pause right now. Bruce wanted to get some more information for them because initially the conversation was going to be, this was going to be a council tax meeting. Well, now it kind of seemed to morph into a whole tours TLT 70%, 1% of the 70% meeting where it would include the chamber, not necessarily the chamber, but discuss the things with the chamber as well. So kind of like the big picture of everything at the same time.
Yeah, you know, what's interesting to me on that though is I don't think that's tax role. I think that's a conversation for the city council to have alone, right?
I think they wanted everything presented at once to see the full picture at once so that they can discuss it from there. Because
Mhm.
one of the things that came up again at the meeting was how come the chamber is being financed for more, how come chamber's getting grants when we're already giving them money to run the visitor center. So I think that's where it kind of morphed into kind of a bigger thing than just meeting with TAC alone.
Mhm.
They wanted to kind of evaluate everything.
Bruce had perfect timing because you can
Yeah.
probably answer or
We were talking about the meeting that got postponed between the city council and TAC. And Jennifer was talking about it, the conversation is going to get larger. And so I don't know. I mean, TAC has a role in there, right? But really our role is just to act as consultants and do some of the legwork for the city council, rather than asking the city council to listen to 2 days or a long afternoon of events, asking for money. We have taken that off their plate. We do that. We make recommendations and provide those recommendations to the city council. To me, when we're talking about kind of higher level conversations, that's a city council conversation, not a conversation. Is kind of my thought on that. But if they want to bring us into it, that's fair, but it just seems like that's dialogue amongst themselves. And if they're asking questions about why is the chamber being funded when the visitor center is being funded? Well, there's kind of, they wear more than one hat there, right? And I don't know if this tech need to talk about the various hats that a chamber entity wears. I don't know. I don't know if that's our question.
Well, and I think it goes back to, in that chamber situation, our guidelines don't have anything that says they couldn't.
Right.
So there was no reason not to. But now when you have, like, just like with the new members on TAC, we have new counselors. So a lot of things are being questioned. And it's a great time to reevaluate everything.
Sure.
And look at everything
Sure.
together. But it seemed like in addition to talking about TAC, they wanted to also talk about the chamber that same night. So that's where it was like a bigger, kind of the whole bucket of money.
So just more of a data collection from the city council on how we've operated, and then they can go format their own setup of, whether we fund. I mean, again, back to, there's no reason they can't come to us, but that's on them to decide how they want to route that.
Their function, and when I say their function, I mean
Yeah.
chamber's function. Visitor center versus Chamber of Commerce
Yeah.
are different, right?
Yeah.
Chamber of Commerce is different. The visitor center, they're running a facility, right? And people come in and go, where is Tom's Fish and Chips? Oh, it's
Yeah.
over there. Or where do we have a magazine? What are the tides?
Yeah.
Where are the bathrooms? Where's the city park? Those kind of, where's Haystack Rock? They're answering those questions. Chamber is promoting kind of the business organizations and business
Yeah.
community of the community. And so they wear different hats.
Mhm.
And so I know when you see the budget of the chamber, they definitely break things out as visitor center functions versus chamber functions. Yeah.
I think that you're right, that the higher level discussion is council, but I think they wanted your input in it.
Right. Okay.
I kind of saw this as a discussion where everyone kind of talks about what they do, how they've been doing it. And I felt like we would get some feedback from council so that way you guys can come back and kind of hear what they were thinking. And then we can make adjustments as needed on our end of things, because like saying the heads and beds aren't quite as prevalent as was before, and what other things, because we have those whole guidelines that haven't
I
been.
mean, like the emphasis on heads and beds isn't as strong as it was before, right?
And you can get council's feedback on that as well. So that way you're gearing it kind of to what they were already giving us some ideas.
Right.
And
Well, that makes sense.
look at-
Yeah, I mean, if they want us to focus on different
Criteria.
criteria, we'll be happy to, right?
Yeah.
Or if they think that something is more applicable, we're happy to look at that.
And this is a great idea, it's a great way of getting their feedback ahead of time, instead of you guys talking about what you want to see change, bring it to them and they say, oh, no, we really want you to go this way. So then we can kind of get everyone together, talk, have some discussions,
Mhm.
hopefully have a few more members before we do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, since our last gathering, we're down 2 members and we were short before, right? So we're down Greg, Tracy, Greg Bell, Greg Allen, Swedenborg, and now Hannah. So we're staffed 3 out of 7.
Bruce, Libby did bring in an application for a new.
I was here when she did.
Oh, you were, okay, good. That'll go to the September council meeting.
September, okay.
Yeah. Well, we probably candidate,
Okay.
Jackie, you let her know we wanted to come out of the packet.
Fantastic.
And I think that the city council should drive that conversation because we're a resource for the city council, right? They're not a resource for us, we're a resource for them. And so that should be, kind of, they can give us some steering. We'd be happy to move forward in the direction they want. Let's see, what else? Anything about concerns?
My only concern is that we don't wait too long so that,
For the conversation?
well, for the conversation or figuring out how we want to data collect for new applicants and whatnot, because so that if we do want to modify and make a template or something, that we have enough time ahead.
Well, we're already now, would be on the 25,
Yeah,
2025
yeah,
requests, right?
Yeah.
Because the 2024 requests are
Already
done.
done.
So I think we have a little bit of time on
Yeah.
that.
And
But that's something we had talked about last year, right?
Yes,
we're like right before the packet.
Right, right.
Yeah.
On the agenda, I said, schedule the next March meeting, because that would typically be our next meeting. We can do one way before that.
Right.
Fast discussion.
Right,
Look and see what maybe other people were doing. I was looking up, to try to see what Tillamook County did.
Yeah,
because they had such a great process.
Yes.
See, maybe they have something more standardized that we can borrow from. And so we can schedule another date to get together and meet and start talking about how we want to revise forms and work on that over the next few months.
that sounds good.
Yeah, because there's nothing saying that we can't meet again till March, so we can
Right.
start doing our legwork and be prepared. Because we will launch the next packet in April. So
okay,
we basically have till April to get just the packet materials ready. The
okay,
application, the evaluation, we can update all of that, send it over to Ashley to review. And then we'll have the other part of that is the discussion with council.
okay. Okay,
That sounds good.
great.
So my concern is that we don't have anybody from the hotels on the committee. And I think it's important to have the arts represented on the committee. And I think it's important to have the hotels represented on the committee. Those are two drivers in our community, and they're kind of hiding right now. And so I think what we need to do is really try and recruit somebody from those industries to participate. This makes sense. It seems like we've had artists on this committee as long as I've been on this committee, we've had artists on this committee
Mhm.
and hoteliers. When I first got on the committee, it was Tom Drumhiller, Linda Beck Sweeney, and Claudia from Cannon Beach Hotel were the hoteliers on the committee, and Jim Kingwell, artist, and I can't think of the other artist that was on.
Oh, gosh.
So it's just, we're kind of we don't have any
Mhm.
hoteliers on the committee. and I think we need to do that. So that's what I'm concerned about, because they're important to the community and they're important to this
Yeah.
committee.
I think that's an important part of the data collection too, like you. With the fat tire knowing, okay, here's what happened in my instance on the back end of it. Hoteliers can
Oh.
tell us that.
They can tell us, oh, that's a weekend that we need help on, or that's not a weekend that we need help on.
Yeah.
Right? And so that helps the event look for a spot that they can, especially because events bounce from week to week
Mhm.
at certain times or month to month. If we have a hotelier saying, hey, this is a week that we could use some help on, that would be beneficial. So,
So how do we go, if we don't personally? How do we go about pinpointing? And trying to throw that, I mean, are we able to?
You're able to recruit.
yeah,
Okay,
Yeah, we have a vacancy posting. I need to update it with the last spot. I need to make an
Okay.
update to you on another committee.
Yeah.
So, and we put it on Facebook, it's on our website. I hang it up at both post office locations and it's at City Hall, but you can send it to anybody you want. You can let them know.
okay,
You are welcome to pass the word along.
Mhm.
Nancy McCarthy's really good about whenever we have things like.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
right.
she does that on
Almost everything.
next door and
Does she?
I think maybe the counselors. Stuff shows up on next door, something, I can't remember. Or the coffee with the counselors, she promotes all that stuff too, but.
And TAC does have, I'm looking it up real quick, they have different requirements than our other committees.
yeah,
Okay,
So, TAC, let me pull this up really.
I think you said had to be a property owner.
Well, so that's for general, you have to.
Okay.
Live here for a year or own property for a year, but TAC applicants are not required to reside in Cannon Beach and are eligible if he or she has worked at least part-time within the city of Cannon Beach for at least 1 year immediately preceding the appointment. So that does draw it out if you have somebody working in an industry that you are interested in, but don't actually live here, they are eligible.
Okay.
But they're property owners here.
No, this one,
They don't.
They've worked here.
you have to
Have worked
work
here.
here. Yep,
Okay,
at least part-time for the last year.
okay,
So you don't have to live here full-time or own property.
okay. All right,
And then everyone that vacated theirs or termed out their spots have to sit out for a year, correct?
Correct. So they're eligible 1 year later.
so like Julie Walker, she has expressed an interest in coming back.
And so I think it's like May.
May, that's what I was
She
thinking.
would be able to come back. And we've actually had people request, hey, can you waive that? And we've talked with our attorney and there's no way to waive it. That's what your code says.
Right.
So you'd have to actually change the code.
Yeah, I think that once you open that door of waiving it, then now you've set a new precedent
Mhm.
for all committees.
So Julie, actually, May 1st is when she's eligible because she turned out April 30th.
Okay, so the packets go out April 1st, right? So I mean, she would be she would be in for the whole session. It's not like would be coming up midpoint during
Yeah.
session.
Right.
She'd be,
And she could apply, if we still have openings, she can apply a few months earlier and just say, hey, I'd like to start this. I'm eligible to start May 1st. Can you give me the appointment so I can start May 1st?
Yeah.
So we don't have to wait until the May meeting.
Okay.
They can start
Okay.
her, they can appoint her like in April saying, okay, we're with Julie Walker beginning May 1st.
sure.
Gotcha, okay.
And just using her as an example, not saying that she.
No, yeah,
Just
Well,
using her as-
Greg moved, so that kind of.
Right. Yep. Is there anything else on this issue? Item 3,
I don't think so. Not for me.
Bruce, do you have anything for us on discussion of guidelines, goals, suggestions, or concerns?
Nothing.
Drea, do you have anything?
I don't.
All right, thank you. Okay, the last thing was set date for the next meeting. I won't call it a March meeting. I'll just call it the next meeting. I think what we'll just do, Jennifer, is let you work on that. Or do you want us to say, let's,
Well, let's look at if everyone has their calendars, we can look at calendars right now, if you guys all have them,
Mhm.
and we can just kind of set a date.
do we want to do February instead of March?
Well, I was thinking
What we
September,
picked?
or October.
Oh
so
my
we
gosh, look at
get,
you.
To work on the application and evaluation forms. Because if we get that knocked out of the way, we won't have to meet again until later, but we can be working on it now, so that way we're not rushed. Because in December, no one meets really in December. I mean, December and November start getting so hairy and busy, and so if we want to meet again in the fall, to start looking at other forms.
Okay,
I'm gonna say I need to not do it the second week of October. Because I have a child getting married that week. But
October's a rough month for me. Just because the Savor is going on and I'm a host site for
Mm.
one, and then I'm a speaker. But we typically do our meetings early in the week, like Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
So I really, earlier in the week, I'm good on those.
okay,
I don't know what you look like. Drea, do you have anything going on? October, Monday or Tuesdays that we need to deconflict? So I think we could work around your schedule.
Do we
I-
always have to meet at 1 o'clock?
No,
Because later in the day would be, for me personally, better.
give me a time, like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock? What works better
Yeah,
for you?
like 4 o'clock would
4
be better.
How's
Because
that for the city?
I actually have to close down to do the,
Oh. How about earlier then? Like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock? Is that better?
Later would be better. I start like my workday early.
Okay.
Okay. We,
Jennifer, how about you guys?
so we could do 4. I would just need to leave at 5 because of daycare.
Okay,
So I could see if there's even, if we wanted to go longer, then I'd have to see if I could get somebody else to cover, or we would just have to end it at 5.
okay. I think we'll get in this conversation. We could
Yeah.
do this on an hour, don't you think?
think so.
Yeah, because if everyone does some research, we can all do
Yeah.
a little bit of research,
Yeah.
come with what we have presented, kind of take a conglomerate of what we like out of each thing
Yeah.
and.
So the only thing I have in October, on Monday, October 9th in the afternoon, I am in Portland for a large wine event. But other than that, other than the 9th, I'm available.
I would vote for either Monday, the 23rd, Monday, the 30th, or Tuesday, the 24th.
So let's do like Monday. So what does the room look like on Monday or the 23rd or Tuesday, the 24th?
It's available both days.
Let's just do like a Monday, 4 o'clock on the 23rd.
Does that work for you, Dre?
Yes. That works for me.
Okay,
23rd, 4 o'clock.
So, I can, I'll research Tillamook County. And
Okay.
I actually think, one of our former employees here is now working with the Tourism and Arts.
Oh,
Fund
good.
There, so I have a great resource. that
Oh,
can go and pick their
perfect.
brain. If, other people want to maybe look at some
Yeah.
other cities or locations.
Yep.
And we can just pull whatever we can find. And then maybe if you find any resources that you see that like, hey, I love this format. We need to kind of have something to start from to show
Yeah.
everything.
I'm gonna call it budget template.
Yep. Perfect.
So Monday, October 23rd, 4 PM to look at budget template.
Great.
I am going to calendar right now. Nobody can make.
Perfect. Okay, let's close this meeting so Drake can open our store back up. And we're adjourned.
Thank you.